Hello and welcome to another edition of Unfulfilled. I'm your host, Luke Plain, and today I'm joined by Marcus Hemsley from Fountain Partnership. Marcus is one of their co-founders. They come up to their 15th birthday very soon. Marcus and I will chat through why the agency was set up back in 2019 and the journey to now, and there's a lot to go through. Fountain Partnership are based in the heart of Norwich and have been an incredible journey, including a number of Google Awards, both domestically and internationally. Marcus will talk us through their approach to digital marketing, how they've grown, the incredible team that is there within the Fountain team, and much more. So if people don't know who you are, Marcus, I'm not sure where they've been for the last sort of 10 years probably, but tell me a bit more about yourself, a bit of an intro to yourself, please.
You're very kind. I'm sure there are people who haven't heard of me, but very kind of you to say, mate. I'm one of the co-founders of Fountain Partnership. We're a performance marketing agency. We help people exceed their growth targets and grow quickly through SEO, pay-per-click, conversion rate optimization. We optimize each of the sales and marketing funnel to get people at exponential growth. I also, a couple of other things I'm involved with. I have another company that does retreats for stressed out founders to help them not feel stressed and avoid burnout. I've also got a not-for-profit called the Million Tree Pledge, where it's businesses pledging to plant 1 million trees to try and do something about the climate crisis, in addition to racing to net zero.
Wow. Okay. Where do you want to start then? Should we start with, obviously Fountain Partnership is why we're mainly here today.
Yeah.
So talk to me a bit more about when it started, like back in 2009, like what was the reason that the business was set up initially?
Yeah, I mean, I always wanted to have my own business. I'd graduated from university in 2008. I did philosophy, which I loved, but it also gave me lots of spare time to go and figure out what sort of business I wanted to set up. I used to get all these free seminars, these personal development ones, to sort of run to the back of the room and pay $2,000 for my course sort of seminar. But I went to one called the World Internet Summit, I think 2006, and I fell in love with the whole digital marketing world. There were, I spent all night playing with the Google Keyword Planner. I was sitting next to a guy who was a copywriter. He was charging £1,500 a day to write a landing page. And at the time I was working in a bar for £5 an hour. So it sounded good. But I really enjoyed it. I think that's the thing. It wasn't just like, oh, I want the money. It was actually like, this is really fascinating. I could see it was the future. I threw myself into it. And then when I graduated, the economic world was falling apart. Jobs were scarce. I got a job in marketing for about 3 weeks, partly because I pitched AdWords to them in the job interview and they said wicked, and they decided they didn't want to do it. So I quit. So I started going freelance. And then by the end of 2008, my other half, Rebecca, actually worked as a marketing manager for a recruitment company. I won't name and shame, they don't exist anymore, but she came home in tears because her boss was a bit of a nightmare, and she'd come home in tears lots of nights. And I said, this is it, I've had enough. Let's set up our own agency, our own business where no one ever goes home and cries. And let's actually build it around clients. Like, for me, it was an advantage not having a background in marketing agencies, so we could actually start from scratch and go, okay, what do the clients really need? What's the optimal service? And for me, it was obviously results, but it was minimizing risk as well. So we would do a performance model. It's only charge if we got them an ROI. We'd forecast upfront to reduce risk. And that was quite revolutionary back in 2009.
Yeah. And then obviously you mentioned Rebecca, yourself, and I know there's 2 others as well as co-founders. Like, how did that dynamic work with the 4 of you? Like, I know you all bring very different skills to the table. So could you explain that as well, please?
Yeah, so there are a couple of, they actually both worked as a recruitment agency as well. So Rob was the top recruitment consultant. He was almost as good as you, Luke, almost. I mean, I don't know. In his day, he might have been better. It would have been like, it's like Ali and Mike Tyson. I know who would have really won in their prime. It's hard to know, but
I got more of a reach than Rob, I think.
Oh, he's got a better right hook. Who knows? But so Rob's just fantastic at sales and networking, and then his other half, Laura, who was Rebecca's assistant at the time, she was a bit younger. So they all worked in the same place. And when Rec and I set up Fountain, they went off traveling. So 2009, everything's going to shit. They're relatively young. I'm allowed to swear on this podcast, aren't I?
Yes, absolutely. Yep.
Yes. So they went traveling for 6 to 9 months, and we said, look, when you come back, we will have a, if you want to come on board and try and, we said we'd have jobs for you. I think that was optimistic, but we said, look, come on board and try and make this work. So they did. We had enough money put away to just pay for Rob for a few months, self-employed, to try and bring in some more sales. And then Laura and the machine took off. It was really dumb luck. They were all different personality types. So people listening may have come across disc profiling. You've got the 4 different main personality types. The 4 of us are each different profile on the disc, which at first was a bit of a nightmare because, you take Laura, for example, who's a blue. She's daughter of 2 accountants, spreadsheet process driven. There's me that's a yellow, which is very extroverted and creative. We just clashed. I was like, this woman's insane. Like, why can she not see the world like I can? But actually, after a few months, like realizing, like, oh shit, a lot of my blind spots are Laura's strengths and vice versa. So as soon as we started realizing that, when the 4 of us came to a consensus, it generally was probably closer to the truth and therefore a better decision, tended to work quite well. The drawback was the pie had to be cut 4 ways. So I was very poor for a couple of years, living hand to mouth and working all God's hours. It's just what happens when you set up a business. And I ran a dinner last night in London. I was chatting to a load of people that work in agencies, and there's this young woman who's thinking about setting up on herself. And she was like, I might wait till I'm in my sort of early 30s to do it. I want to have 5 more years in my 20s and get some more experience. And I said, just don't do that.
Yeah.
Because actually the energy we had in our 20s and the resilience to not have to worry about, paying a mortgage and to deal with having no money. So I'm very lucky we set up in our early 20s because we had the energy and the enthusiasm. The stupidity as well, but we made so many mistakes, Luke. It's ridiculous. But I look back on those days fondly, actually, because it was good fun.
Yeah, and then how did the business grow then? So Rob and Laura came back from traveling back end of 2009. Then what was because I know you guys didn't have your massive boom until, when was that, 2016, 2017? So there's a big time there between the big boom, which we'll get to, and how that all happened. What was that? I know it's a lot of time to cover, but if you could just synopsis,
No, so Rob was full-time networking. I mean, the thing with B2B is you're selling a service, right? You're selling a relationship. So Rob was building relationships. Me and Rebecca were doing that a little bit. Obviously, we were, walking our own walks. We're doing our own SEO. So we got #1 for SEO Norwich and so on. Running PPC campaigns as well. The challenge with that for B2B is that, they're coming slightly colder from the internet. So the conversion rate from sale, from inquiry to sale is lower than if, say, you gave me a referral, Luke, you really talked us up to someone. So you just got to bear that in mind. But I think we struggled with our mistakes. We were selling project initially. We were selling projects, one-off projects, and that was harder to grow. And then we switched to retainer. I remember a brilliant moment when Rob had sold our first retainer, and it was 300 quid a month to a local law firm. And basically we just took what they were giving Yellow Pages and said, just give it to us, we'll get you an actual return on investment. I remember dancing around the room with Laura going, we've fucking done it. Because I realised that once we had a 300, pound a month retainer, then we just had to keep stacking that up. And I think now we're on about sort of 300 grand a month, right? So it's you just keep building it. I think once we realised we did it once, that was just it. And it's continued to grow, and obviously it's been ups and downs and all the rest of it. When we started to grow a lot quicker, we kind of plateaued at about 500,000 turnover. And we had about, 6, 7, 8 staff then. And I was like, how are we gonna break through this? And I realised actually the problem that we had is we were just stuck in Norwich. We were just only working with Norfolk businesses. This guy called James Howes, his son works for us now, but he was one of our early mentors. And I remember him saying, actually, Marcus, there's more wealth in that postcode around Liverpool Street in London than there is in the whole of Norfolk and Suffolk combined. If you want money, go to the mouth of the river. So actually, we just started getting our asses on the train every day and networking in London. And that was probably one of the big things. The other thing to actually say to everyone is just get mentors, non-execs. There were brilliant people that helped us out. Barney Phillips, Neil Foley, Brian Bush. There's lots of brilliant people in Norwich that helped us. And then as we started getting to the 500,000 mark in network in London, we met Spencer Gallagher and Peter Hall, who are agency consultants from, like they've got a company called Cactus. They've written the book Agency Nomics. So I
Yeah.
think it was a combination of getting out there, trying shit, and just learning, having a growth mindset rather than a fixed mindset of, oh, we know it all, and being a bit arrogant. We actually were really humble and said, we don't know what the fuck we're doing. Let's just experiment, try lots of stuff, do more
Yeah.
of what works and do less of what doesn't.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nice to hear that everyone's at different parts of their business growth goes through almost exactly the same stuff you mentioned just then, like, because we're still very new being fulfilled, like we were July 23 we set up, so like still very, very new, and we're just trying loads of different things, like we're trying loads of different like sponsorship opportunities, we're trialing with different sort of clients of ours, trying new softwares, all that sort of stuff. We're trying outreach, so we're doing loads of ways to, as you say, like grow the funnel. I know that's what we get onto as well. I know that's a big talking point. Are you like sort of discussing more detail around sort of actually growing that funnel opportunity as well? But it's weird, isn't it? You don't really think everyone else has been through that same pain that you're talking about, but it is. Everyone goes through it, don't they? Unless they get very lucky, everyone goes through that. Let's just try things. It might fuck up. It might go really well. Shit might hit the fan. Like, let's just deal with it.
I think that's it. Like, it's that Malcolm Gladwell book that talks about 10,000 hours to mastery. I always like the idea of 10,000 experiments to mastery, right? Everything's just an experiment. Don't get too upset if it goes wrong. I think I used to get really annoyed because I had this vision of like, there are these real businesses that are doing it properly, that have brilliant sales and marketing funnels, and it's all going great. And I do it for my clients, but why can't I do it well enough for me? What's going wrong? And actually, the more time you spend in business, the more you speak to people, you go, no, there's ebbs and flows. Like Fountain's 15 years old next month. If I was going to sit down for you at the beginning now, Luke, let's talk about you actually in your business, right? You guys are quite early on, right? In 15 years' time, you're still going to be here and your business will be much bigger. But, realistically, what's going to happen? Well, probably you're going to have some downturns, a couple of quarters of losses. You're probably going to have to make some people redundant at some point. You're probably have moments where you're thinking, I want to pack it all in. This is horrible. You're also going to have moments where you're like, we're growing too fast, or this is the best day ever. I'm so happy I'm an entrepreneur, and everything in between. And if you go, well, on a big enough time scale, all of this is going to happen, then you just accept it. Rebecca and I have this thing where, like, I used to get a bit of road rage, believe it or not, when people cut me up. And then Rebecca and I sort of had this saying now with driving that there's the wanker of the week. So every week when you're driving, there's going to be some wanker who cuts you up, who does something dangerous, puts you and your family at risk. So rather than losing my shit, I go, oh, wow, that's the wanker of the week for this week. Cool.
Yeah.
Great. I don't worry, because I know every week there's going to be some idiot on the A47, undertaking me because I've got a Tesla and he thinks in his crappy BMW he can do better. And, that's always going to happen, right? And I just got a smile and go, yeah, that's this week's wanker of the week. Shit, it's Monday morning. That's early for this week. Cool. And that's the thing. As long as you just see it as like, oh, it's setbacks are part of the game. I think what I was getting annoyed about was when I believed unrealistically that other people knew something I didn't, they were getting it right and they never had any problems and I wanted their life. Well, that's just not true, and it's also not a healthy narrative.
No, that's just not the case at all. I mean, the more that I've been doing this and the more conversations I'm having, it's everyone has been through the same problems, and yeah, as you say, like openly talking about that and saying, well, how did you fix that? Or what are you going through to try and fix that? Like, it just makes it so much better, doesn't it? In terms of actually understanding things quicker, putting things right quicker, and then you can deal with it more forward.
Absolutely, mate. Yeah, that's it. It's all just a game of iteration, feedback loops. I think the thing is always think about, like, the game of business is won by, who can get feedback the quickest. So as long as you're learning from the mistakes, I think where people go wrong is they get pissed off when things go wrong and they fix it, but they don't actually fix it in terms of putting things in place so it never happens again. I think that's where people get stuck.
Yeah, very true. So how have Fountain managed to get it so right? Like for clients and then for the team as well? 'Cause I know you guys have built that an incredible team now, which you're close to 50-ish now. Is that right, sort of team wise?
Yeah, 51 at the minute. I think we've got it right. One, because we stuck at it. I think consistency beats intensity every time. But two, really, because we've figured out what other people want, right? So with the clients, it's very simple. We want, to make them as much money as possible. We want them to exceed targets. We want them to feel loved, listened to, and important. We want to help them keep growing their accounts, right? From a marketing perspective, we want to build an online machine where every pound they put in, they're getting 10 out, then 11 out, or so on. They want the best customer service. They want their lives to be easy. They want to look good at their jobs. I mean, it's really simple, Luke. When you go back to fundamentals, right? When you meet anyone, there's only three things you can do. You can meet their expectations, you can fall short of their expectations, or you can exceed them. It doesn't really take that much to exceed someone's expectations. So if you're mapping out every interaction with clients and with staff members and going, what the little like plus ones I can do to make them go, oh, that's really cool. You need to exceed people's expectations like one or two times, and they start raving about you, and you become like a Nathan Lomax or someone who goes, oh, isn't he a great guy? Consistently exceeds expectations. Doesn't take much. It takes a bit of bravery to do something a bit different. Sometimes you go a bit far. I remember advising Nathan, a lot of people know Nathan Lomax, they probably do in the e-com world, right? I remember advising Nathan on like, one of my things, I like buying books for people, right? If someone's struggling with something, I have a coffee with them, and I'm struggling with something, oh, here's a book I've read, because I love reading business books. And I advised Nathan, I'm sure it might be telling this story. This was back in the day when you're starting up. And I always like buying a book for someone. And I bumped into Brian Bush a few weeks later. He goes, that Nathan Lomax guy you introduced me, he's brilliant. He sent me 5 books though. It's just like, it's typical Nathan, like times 5 times 10.
Yeah.
Having said that, Brian and Nathan have been very good friends and worked together since. So, Nathan's probably right. Maybe I should be sending 5 books rather than 1. Who knows, mate. But just exceed expectations, just push it a little bit, People like that. People want to have something exciting and novel happen to them. They don't want to have the same boring coffees where it's just like, yeah, how's it going? It's like, what are your challenges? How can I help them? Follow up and help them, right? And the same with staff. It's really, Rebecca's good at this. I think I use all my bandwidth and sort of empathy and compassion for when I'm networking and for clients. I definitely could be doing more with the team. I'm sure they'd agree with that. Rebecca's fantastic at that. Like, she really takes the time to listen, make people feel seen and heard in the team, and really understand what's going on for them in their reality, what's keeping them awake at night, what their pain points are. And I think if you're just continuously adding value and helping people, then it tends to work out, right? The downside of that, if you can protect against it, is when you're in a low mood, when you're stressed and angry, just don't speak to anyone, right? Like, I've never ever walked away and from being really pissed off and kicking off and going, you know what, I'm really glad I got angry. That really made that situation better. Like, that definitely no, I have to go back and apologize, and it just wastes loads of time and it's ruthlessly inefficient. So I think that's the other thing. If you're not a dick, and you also, when you're in a good mood, you're able to listen and empathize and help people, then it tends to work out. But there are moments when it doesn't, and at that point you just got to stay true and be consistent. So it's probably consistency and empathy, I imagine. So that's helpful.
But I think, as you said there, like using the 4 co-founders there, like Rebecca's biggest strength is people. It is making sure that like they feel heard and listened to. And I think that's always the feedback we used to get with regards to like recruitment for you guys, is that first stage. We used to get people excited about speaking to like yourself or Rebecca or whoever it was. And the founding team would always, like, as you say, exceed expectations. They'd always do that times 2, times 3. People come on the phone and I was excited to talk to him, but now I'm like, I can't wait to get this offer, maybe. Like just that jump change that you used to do with people used to make people want to be part of your business as well in the agency.
Yeah, Rebecca was fantastic with that, with culture. I think that's all down to her, really, but she's on the disc profile, she's a green. I think you want someone who's just a green, but an enthusiastic green, not a quiet one. To look after your culture and teams. And I think you need someone on that. Like, I think you can't. Like, Rebecca goes to the extreme with stuff, almost so much so I'll just be like, why are you doing this? But the sense of work. So she's sending out like a mailer to the whole team, right? 51 people.
Yeah. She
will go through a spreadsheet of everyone's name and just have a quick moment to think, how's that going to land with that person based on what they're going through this week? Who's going to hear that in a way that they're going to take it in not how it's intended? At some point, you've got to stop, right? When we're 300 people, surely it's the point. But, and obviously, people are still going to take it the wrong way. It isn't foolproof. But that level of care, going, I'm not going to communicate en masse until I've actually thought about every single person, how they're going to hear it based on what we know. I mean, she set up internal coaching programs at Fountain, and that way then, they all coach each other, which is great, but then there's feedback at the end. So we just have like a regular, almost bi-weekly score of how people are doing. We've got Gallup 12 polls. So we've got a lot of data on how all the team are feeling at any time, and that just helps us with just navigating challenges, because, life's a contact sport, and, like, life's hard enough without work being a really nasty place. And it goes back to, I think, that story I told at the beginning of coming home and crying, saying let's build a business where no one ever goes home and cries. I can't guarantee no one's ever cried. We've got 50 people over 15 years, but it's a lot less frequently than perhaps other businesses, and that's something we're proud of.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, and in terms of thinking about, I know you mentioned because what I used to love about coming to Bethel Street as an office is walking up the stairs. There was three like key. You have mentioned them, but you didn't like go through them like really good detail. But there was three things on the wall that I remember. I think I took a picture of it actually. It's probably on the phone somewhere back in the day. But tell people what the three things were and like delve into them a bit more detail, because I think that really is what sets Fountain apart, and that as what allowed you to like win the awards you've done, to keep the people, keep the clients, because I know you're like also your lifetime client cycle is a lot longer than the other agencies. So yeah, go into that if you can, please.
Yeah, and it's annoyed me because it's not on the wall of our new office, and it's going to be on there now because I was talking to you about it yesterday and you've brought it up. So the universe is telling me it's time to bring it back. So I suppose there's three objectives that the team have, right, for our clients. Number one is make them as much money as possible. Well, that's the only reason we're in business performance agency. Like, we'll only make money if they make money, and that's it. So it's all about return on investment. I should have make them as much profit as possible, right? Because they can make revenue, but it's not profitable revenue, right? They need to be getting more customers who are the best, most profitable based on lifetime value. So that's kind of what we're doing, right? And we're optimizing each stage of the sales and marketing funnel digitally. It's just getting that compounding growth. Fine. Number two is make them feel loved, listened to, and important, because they can make as much money as possible, but they might still leave us if we're just bad customer service, like we're just treating them bad or indifferent. We don't get back to emails timely. And we just go, make them feel loved, listened to, important, make them feel seen. It's not just about good customer service. It's about actually making their lives easier, making them look good at their jobs. Everyone wants to look good at their jobs. Everyone wants an easy life in B2B. So it's just, like entering them for awards with us. Like, we want, out of any agency they've worked for, we want them to be the best. Like, a client came to us the other day. He's a CMO. He's in his 40s. He's worked with lots of agencies. He came to us the other day and said, you know what? Fountain's the only agency I've never fired. So that's very kind, and that's that's pretty good. He fires a lot of agencies. He's pretty ruthless. He's a lovely guy, but ruthless. I think that's it. Like, make them feel loved, listened to, and important. And then the third one, you could still be doing those two. You could still lose the account, and we lost a client yesterday because of this. Is the third one is grow the account. Because if they see us as a commodity, a very nice, love, listen to, an important commodity, if we just do SEO and pay-per-click and get the return on investment, at some point, the CFO is going to go, well, we're paying 10 grand a month for those boys. Could we hire someone to do all of that? 5. And then they'll go, yeah, let's look at that. Let's test that out. And actually, by growing the account, I mean, every month, always bringing them new ideas, innovation, helping them solve other business problems. Like, more of a consultative positioning rather than a commodity. And that way you're growing the account. You're always coming up with new ideas. You're always looking at ways to grow the account, not just for us because we want more money. That is the byproduct, but we're always looking to add value in a way rather than just being like, oh, we're just plodding along and taking a retainer. If you do all three of those, if you get those ones 10 out of 10, we don't lose the client. It's very simple. Not always. The only caveat is when we lost another client this year where they just got bought out by a big American corporate, and they're like, look, we own another agency, a big agency, global one in America. We're going to switch the marketing to them. That account was also with WPP. We're doing some stuff with them as well, so they lost it too. So I think there's, what I mean. There's it's made me feel okay, but it's not ideal. But then again, you always think, is there more you can do? I don't like that defeatist attitude if there was nothing more. So I think there's lessons to be had. But with the client we lost yesterday on number 3, that was worth 100 grand. But the way I'm looking at it is, well, that's 100 grand lesson, right? Like, that's actually, let's get times 10 on that. Let's actually put systems in place to make sure we're never seen as a commodity ever again, so that we keep so many more clients that actually that 100 grand cost over the next 12 months was actually worth it. And I think that's a really healthy way of looking at it. I.e., if PwC were going to come to me and go, hey, Marcus, we're gonna put something in, we're gonna advise you on something, give you a bit of client feedback that will make you $1 million or $2 million over the next 5 years. They're going to cost you 100k, and we'll let you pay at $8 grand a month for the next 12 months. Would you go ahead with that? Go, yeah, fine, we'll do that. And then it's that bit of information, the commodity piece. The only thing that's annoying, Luke, because I knew that already, and it was on the bloody wall. So, but that's the reality of business, right? We know things, but we don't always do them. And when the client says they're happy and they're really comfortable, then everyone's relaxed and they don't see it coming. And it takes a bean counter, a CFO to go, actually, no, let's try and save some costs there. And we can make the false economy argument, but if he's made his mind up, it's up to him.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's flip this onto like a e-commerce sort of focus then. So if there's a brand listening to this now who are looking to accelerate their growth, why should they, two questions, I guess. Why should they pick Fountain? And then secondly, like talk about the funnel that I know you would then talk about with that brand, like during the process, please.
Yeah, I think a lot of e-coms, they're going to they're going to do things that everyone else is doing, and they're going to try and like go, well, let's optimize like Google Shopping or whatever, and that's fine. I mean, there's some quick wins you can do with that. There's ad fraud prevention software. We'd probably look at putting that in to start off with. A lot of clicks are fraudulent, especially in B2C. So if we can put software in to stop like 3, 5, 10% of your clicks that are clicked on by bots, if we save you 10% of your media spend on day one, well, that's made complete sense to switch for us. A lot of e-coms aren't investing enough in conversion rate optimization. They'll be doing a bit of it, but truthfully, like, the checkout page is the money page. That's where the drop-offs are. It's it's really cringeworthy. I mean, I still think the average conversion rate for an e-com is around 1.1%. There's an analogy that people use, which probably isn't fair for e-com, but I use it anyway, of like, imagine you hired me as a salesperson, Luke, and I walked into a room with 100 prospects for you, and I came out with one business card. You'd probably fire me, right? Well, why do people tolerate websites with 1% conversion rates, Now, I'm not here to say like, oh, well, Fountain will get you a 5%, which is sort of the real upper end, unless you're Amazon, which is probably much higher. But even if you got from a 1% to a 1.5% conversion rate, I mean, that's a 50% increase in
Yeah.
your revenue. And actually, the cost of doing that compared to buying that additional traffic is, it's ridiculous. And the thing about conversion rate optimization is that you do it once and it's ongoing, right? Whereas with the traffic, you have to keep buying it again. So, we'll be looking at that piece, and then just looking at, the whole customer lifetime value by just looking at that side of things, and then just looking at other areas of the whole sort of funnel, like how can we reduce return rates, like all of the things where I think it's just digital marketing is a spreadsheet exercise, business growth spreadsheet exercise. It's looking at the entire funnel and looking at where you're putting resource, and too often everyone puts more resource at the very top of the funnel at the cost of the bottom, whereas actually the bottom's where the money is and the quicker wins. So it's just having a refreshing look at that, and then bringing in tools and tech like the ad fraud to accelerate growth. But with the conversion rate piece, something I'd advise people to do is just actually look at the ecosystem their ads are sitting in, right? Look at your Google Shopping ads, looking at your competitors' landing pages and their checkouts, and just see how you compare with them. And hand on heart, when there's a gap analysis, theirs more compelling. And actually often they are. Like, your goal is to the highest converting website in your industry. If that is your goal and you resource that accordingly, and it's not going to be anywhere near as expensive as just buying even more traffic or spending more affiliates or whatever, that will have a bigger impact. And you can actually use the money you've saved from using ad fraud prevention software conversion rate piece. So that's probably the cheeky thing I would do, in a nutshell, to advise any e-com people listening. But just get in touch. One of our guys can talk about it if they're interested, or just look at it for yourself. Look at the ad fraud prevention software. There's quite a few ones out there to test. We quite like Lunio, but I don't know how good they are for B2C. So have a check, have a look at that. But I think everyone underinvests in conversion rate optimization. It pisses me off. I think it's just CRO, conversion rate optimization. It's not as famous or as sexy as SEO and PPC. So everyone feels they need SEO and PPC because they've heard of it. But that's just basic brand recognition and human psychology rather than actually best for business growth.
Yeah. Okay. And then I think you probably talked about it a little bit there, but talk me through like the funnel, like just like if you can synopsify like what you talk about the marketing funnel, like making sure that it's the right way of doing it again for people who maybe don't look at it enough, or just more of a
Let's do it from I want to get more revenue now rather than just the abstract of the funnel, because that's a bit boring. So it's like, I want to make money now. Well, the quickest place to get money is from your existing customers. So start from the bottom up, right? So let's just go backwards, because that's true. People say, shit, we're short on hitting our revenue targets for this month. Well, what can we upsell, cross sell to existing clients? How can we create more advocates and create more referrals? How can we create raving fans? Are we investing enough in that? Inevitably, you're not, because people don't. They put more in the top of the funnel than the bottom. I think there's a cognitive bias about this, Luke. And I don't know what you call it, maybe a novelty bias, but I suffer from it as well, right? So say, Luke, you go, Marcus, I've got a shiny lead for you. It's 10 grand a month retainer, nice ecom brand, spending 100 grand on Google shopping and search. Oh, I'm excited about that, Luke. But at the same time, Amy rings me up at Fountain, head of client services. Marcus, existing client wants to spend an extra 10 grand a month with us. I'm like, cool, that's exciting. I'm more excited about your one, Luke. I don't know why. The money's the same, but I'm more excited about your one, which doesn't make any sense at all, because the existing client is known, they're a good payer, they're a nice customer, like the staff get on with them. But I'm always drawn to the new one. So we do have this sort of weird cognitive bias towards new and shiny, which is why I think we put more in the top of the funnel. It's why we want new leads rather than making more from the existing customer base. So look at customer lifetime value, right? So say you're really rinsing that, you then just move up the chain, right? So in B2B, or some B2C as well, if there's a sales element, then it's looking at increasing sales conversion rates, lead nurturing, so on, putting money into that both digitally and both sales training. That's the second place to sort of actually to increase it from our perspective. And I'm always looking at Fountain and our growth. I go, right, what can we get from current clients? How can we put prices up? How can we increase value? And then how can we look at increasing sales conversion rate? What's in the pipeline we can close quicker? How can we close that at a higher percentage? Let's put resource there. And then we start getting into the actual funnel of generating leads. So let's go back to, right, so there's traffic, there's website conversion rates. So the traffic that's already appearing on there, how can we get more of that inquiring, right? Actually, again, that's a really good place to put money. Just changing headlines, calls to action. There's little changes you can make. Like we've doubled the conversion rate of web pages by just changing a headline. Keeping everything else the same and A/B testing a headline, we've doubled it. Or we've just bolded. Sometimes I've bolded some things, and then we doubled it from a 1 to 2% or 2 to 4. That doubles the leads, halves the cost per lead. It doesn't take that much. People think this is a massive project we need to fucking do it. We don't. It's the core things that make the difference, right? You just capture. You think about it, like say you've got 1% conversion rate. Like one person's inquiring, 99 people are buggering off. You just need to capture an extra 1 or 2 out of that 100 with some bolded words, and then you're done. You're golden. You've tripled it. And then you start going further up the funnel. So then it's sort of in the sort of the, it's demand capture, they call it, right? So out of your whole target audience, it's called the 95% rule. So you've got a whole target market, Luke. At any one time, 5% of them on average are in market. They're searching for what you want, right? So they're going onto Google search, Google shopping, or they're ready to buy, and so you want to get in front of them and capture that, right? You need to be really good with some very good like paid ads or organic ads or whatever. Get in front of them. Search engines tend to be a good place for that. So that's sort of like the next stage of the funnel. And then the bit that's really the top of the funnel is what they call the brand reach, brand awareness. As a performance marketer, I find that the more fluffy end of stuff. There's a lot of money wasted here, but I know there's probably lots of, if any marketers listen to this, they're probably screaming right now because some marketers love top of the funnel. I'm going to be a bit bullshit and say it's because it's unaccountable a lot of the time and they can just put cool creative shit out there and speak to the 95% of people that aren't ready to buy and make friends with them and get their logo out there. But it also means spending a lot of money and not really measuring it particularly well and going, yeah, but it's brand awareness. I'm being very uncharitable, and there's lots of people, I imagine, listening, shouting right now, going, no, listen to Bennett and Field and Mark Ritson. And it is true, right? Big companies. I was chatting to someone yesterday who's a large CMO, a CMO for a number of global brands, and one in particular, Philips, in the 90s, got a new CEO in who was an engineer who just stopped all marketing. Goes, everyone's heard of Philips, so when he's doing marketing, and they started losing share very quickly. So the big boys do need to keep speaking, and that's fine. But basically, I always say start from the bottom up. Like if you've got really good systems to measure and improve the lifetime value, the sales conversion rate, the website conversion rate, the in-market demand capture, then you can go quite big and tell really cool stories to the 95% of people who aren't ready to buy yet, so they know you exist. Because there is a truth to that. Like me and you, Luke, we'll buy brands we've heard of. We will. If I'll buy Oral-B or Colgate toothpaste because I've heard of them and seen their ads. Like there's a sense of familiarity. It does work, definitely. But I'd argue that if you actually hand on heart look at where you're putting your money, people are putting too much in brand and not enough in the bottom. Tie it up the bottom, get revenue from it quickly now, and then you can invest in brand later. So I'm not anti-brand, but I just feel that people put too much in it because they feel they have to. And it's going, yeah, do a bit of PR, do a bit of radio, do a bit of TV,
Yeah.
do programmatic brand reach. But a lot can be spent and you've got no idea if it's doing anything. In the meantime, if you're not hitting your revenue targets, if you've got shit converting website, if your sales team aren't really closing, if you're not doing upselling, cross-selling, advocacy programs, etc., then you're really not putting your resource in the right place. And that's all business is. It's a game of allocating resource and time in the most effective place to get the best return on investment.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is that okay? Is that a good explanation?
Yeah, it's a very good answer. Yeah, no, it's very, very good. Very good. Makes me think about how we can do more at Fulfilled, to be honest with you as well. So no, it makes a lot of sense. Might be an off-air conversation had there. So I did mention earlier on with the growth that you guys had in that like 2016, 2017 time, there happened to be a couple of awards that were won. I'll let you discuss about how big they were, but tell me about sort of the awards you won and sort of what that really meant again for the growth for Fountain.
Yeah, that was pretty big for us. So in 2016, Google had their first ever Premier Partner Awards. So Premier Partners are currently the top 3% of agencies that sell Google ads, basically, in terms of like the results we get and the size clients we have, etc. So we're up against the best in EMEA, so Europe, Middle East, and Africa. We won the main prize in 2016, which was Best Search Performance Agency, and that was that was really just for our approach I've outlined. I think we're probably up there. We ran really good Google AdWords campaigns. I don't know if we were the best out of. I think there was a short list of 90, and they were all the big boys like Brain Labs, all the rest of it, and we beat those guys. But I think the reason we really won it was just because of the whole full funnel piece. And actually, we had a really lovely case study with an estate agent that we took from 5 branches to 90 in 2 years, and it was that whole methodology I just laid out for you, Luke. Really, I think that makes a difference. And it was great. We helped these 2 guys. I mean, bless them. When you meet a startup and they're really struggling, but we helped them grow from 5 branches to 90, and they sold 15 million. Within 2 years, we made them multi-millionaires. That was a really beautiful story. It was just from getting the fundamentals right. Actually what they were doing is they were sending loads of traffic to their website, and it was just so poor. It's converting at 0.2%. So that was 1 in 500 people were getting in touch. They rung us up and said, Google AdWords doesn't work. I said, well, it works over estate agents. What's going on here?
Yeah.
So we ended up just redoing the website, getting the web page converting at 3%. And then we just optimized it, got it 6, 9, 12%, and they just dominated the industry. Again, that goal of having the highest converting website in your industry, we achieved for them. So were we the very best at running Google ads? Probably not. Were we the best at business growth? Yes. And then it was so funny. So we won that award and it was great. And I remember we came home and it was like, let's go out and celebrate. And this was sort of Christmas 2016. I was like, no, we've got to win it again next year. And it was like, what the fuck are you talking about? There's no way you can win it next year, right? There are thousands of agencies went in, we shortlisted to 90 and we won. They're not going to give it to the same agency twice. You can't win it again. I said, well, not with that fucking attitude, you can't. So everyone went out and got drunk. I started writing I thought I need to get a jump start on everyone else. So I started writing the award application and our vision for digital marketing and what makes us different whilst everyone was out drinking that Christmas in 2016. Comes around to the winter of 2017 and they changed the categories, but they had one which was the better one, which was called Growing Businesses Online for EMEA. They put an extra kicker in, Luke. They said, right, if you win EMEA, we'll fly out to New York for the global awards. And again, we're lucky we had another really great case study with a client that we'd help that's what that used to be on our homepage or our website, Luke, where I think I can't remember, I think they put 20 grand in and we got 300K back out, right? So it was a really nice case study. And again, it was a scale up. We helped get from 6 people to 200 or something. It was really good using the same methodology, but I'd already started writing the award and all the rest of it. And actually, to tell a little secret, part of the reasons I think we won the awards, we were a bit smart with it. Rather than just doing a boring application, we built a website, we had a video from the client. We're doing remarketing to the judges. So we had banner ads saying, hey judges, it's Fountain here. We're the ones who are going to win the award again this year and all the rest of this sort of stuff. You've got to show people you're good at marketing. You can't just tell them you're good at it. But anyway, ended up, and here's the story. I'm a really bad loser, really bad. So I didn't go to the one, it was in Dublin for the first one, 2016. I didn't go out to that award ceremony because I thought, no, I can't hack it. I'm not going to, I can't not. And then again in Dublin in 2017, I was like, I'm not going out in case we lose. And of course we won it, right?
Yeah.
So flew us out to New York. So I got to go to New York, and we ended up winning that one as well. And that was insane. They said we're the best in the world at growing businesses online. And it was so funny because there's massive agencies there, and people kept coming up to us and just saying like, "Oh my God, so you're from the UK? That's great." I was like, "Yeah." And they're like, "And we see you're from the Norwich district." I was like, "Yeah." They're like, "Well, I've been to London heaps of times. Like, is Norwich have its own tube line? Like, where is it in London?" I was like, "No, it's not in London. It's this little like medieval city and in East
Yeah.
England." They're looking at me like, how the fuck did you win? Like, there's this agency of like 35 people at the time. But again, it goes back to first principles. That whole thing I did about the funnel, we just basically go, well,
Yeah.
let's figure out what will get you the results, rather than being dogmatic and going, we're a pay-per-click agency, we're just going to do pay-per-click. And if the leads are shit, that's your website's fault, or your sales team's fault for being crap at closing. So
Yeah.
taking ownership of the full funnel, that's what made the difference. So those are the big awards. The nice thing is I haven't done a global award since. So we are the only
You're still the reigning winners.
I'm glad you asked about the award, because it's funny, but some of the team get a bit like, we're bored of the awards now. Like, it was a long time ago. We can't keep talking about it. I think we have to, because they're not doing them anymore. And like, I mean, they do European Premier Partner one still, but they don't do the globals. We've got to keep talking about it because it's a differentiator, and it just also is true to our methodology of full funnel, not just in traffic and hoping for the best.
Yeah, and I remember that time of it happening as well, because that was the growth that we helped you with in terms of that expansion that you had in terms of team as well. And I remember Jake being one of the first ones that you hired around that sort of January time of that 2017, I think it was maybe. And then I was out in Canada now. Like, shout out to obviously Jake over there.
Yeah.
And I just remember that ramp up, and I mean, yeah, like just incredible times, like being there, like seeing what you were doing as a business, thinking where you came from, because again, we shared the same office. This goes back to, our old business R13 and Bexham Roof there. Like, I know that they were a huge part of that starting bit, and then I sort of took over the account and sort of grew from there. But like, and I just remember that so fondly, and like you guys as being so good with it as well. And I think you are always my like go-to in terms of what I want my clients to treat us like as well. You do go back to your 1, 2, and 3. Like, it makes a lot of sense. And like, I used to really enjoy recruitment for Fountain, and that was really because you were clear in terms of, okay, this is what we need to find, this is our budget, blah blah blah, all this is going to be, this is our interview process. Like, it never wavered. It was always like bish bash bosh, like go crack on, find people. And it was just like, it was, I mean, let's be honest, that dream team was pretty cool, right? In terms of what we were able to deliver for you. And I know a number of them teams are still there, and like Matt's now heading up your SEO, and Amy's head of client services, Noam sort of lot. And
Matt's married to Alice as well. There's a baby involved. Like, you've created families with you know what I mean? Like, pretty cool.
It is. I think, like, my last question, because I think I could talk to you for ages, mate, and I know, like, I love the Fountain story so much, but my last one, like, ends on recruitment, if that's okay. So
yeah, of course, mate.
Like, I guess there's a couple of different questions, really. Like, one, that you've talked about this already, about how you've built that ethos in the team, because I think it all comes down to you guys. It's not about have you got the best skill for the job, it's are you the right person for the business. And I think that's always what set you apart. You've always been that culture-led recruitment that everyone's now doing. Like, you were like 5 years ahead of that, I think, personally.
Oh, thank you. And you're amazing at props to you, mate. I mean, you built our team, right? So you were the guy that just got us. I remember you saying, like, there's this candidate, she's really good, but she's just not the right fit. It just isn't right. And you're really honest about that. And it was really good. Like, so no, I think getting a recruiter who understands you is everything, to be honest. I mean, obviously we do a bit ourselves, it's nice to avoid the fee if you can, but there's a reason why we use recruiters, because they're much better at vetting and finding the right people. And once they get your culture, that's perfect. It always used to make me laugh when you used to turn up at the office, Luke, and everyone would be like high-fiving you and like hugging you and stuff. And you're the most popular guy because you found their job at Fountain. It's just brilliant. I was like, what? Oh yeah, of course, he got more the job. So yeah, no, it's good. But I think that's it. It's just but it takes time to build a relationship, and good recruiters are hard to find, as you know. There's a lot of people just want to get bumps and seats. Ultimately, they don't really care they hope it lasts longer than the 3 months, so they don't have to refund or anything. But I think a lot of recruiters I've come across, it's just spray and pray, right? It's a numbers game, whereas you really took the time to understand us and the culture, and it pays dividends. You know what I mean? Because then actually, you know exactly what we're about, and like you take some credit in building our team. So thank you, Andrew.
I know I'm now with Fulfilled, my own business, and that's amazing. But like, there is props there to R13 and being able to sort of do that as well. So like, I'm definitely one to make sure that those guys are talked about in all this as well. It's not just me. It was definitely like a theme. I know I was your go-to guy, and I was the one who was on the phone to Rebecca most of the time. But yeah. Like a second husband at times.
Yeah.
But like, it was
probably less annoying than me. So the one to look forward to speaking to.
I'm always that with clients though, because I only get like 15-20 minutes, and it's not like the whole evening or the weekend when the kids are playing up and you're there like just want to go out to some spare time. My last question really is around like that partnership element you talked about. So for like another business listening to this now, like, again, this doesn't need to be like Fulfilled. Like, of course, I'd want people to use us, but for you, like that partnership element and us being that real extension for Fountain, like, why was that so important to you and the rest of the team, do you think?
No, it's consistency. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can't build a decent team if you're chopping and changing recruiters all the time, and not having decent partners to help you. Like, you need that. And so with anything, like anyone you work with, you don't just want it to be like for a season or for a couple of quarters or for a little, like, I want clients, I want partners for the next 5, 10, 15 years. You want really deep relationships. It just gets better with time. You just understand each other, and the more you understand each other, the more you can help each other. So it's just getting the right partners, sticking with them. That's what's been a big part of building our team that are really happy and thriving.
I completely agree with that. Completely agree. Marcus, thank you so much, mate. Yeah, I mean, we could literally go on for ages, I think, because there's so many stories and so many things that we can probably go through that have happened over the years. But yeah, I just want to say thank you. Like, thank you to Fountain, the rest of the sort of team there. And yeah, like, you guys, if you need anything performance marketing, like, Fountain are the ones to go to. They already, I mean,
brilliant, man. It was cool. Well, thank incredible. You. I hope it's been too noisy in this club, but it gives a bit of background, man, a bit of vibe. So hopefully it's been, it's been a cool experience to listen to. So thank you for having me.
No worries, man. Thank you so much, and I'll catch up with you very soon.
Mate, take care. I'll speak to you later.
Cheers, mate.